Go. Yes, Jag, how you doing, my friend?
I am good, and thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Brother, it's a long time coming. I think we tried to set it up once before and I don't even know what happened. It just
You got too busy for me. That's what happened.
Wow. That you know what? That's pretty honorable you saying that to me, to be honest. Wow. Me busy for the Jag Chima. Sir Chima. Sir
No,
Jag
no.
Chima, you know?
But seriously, I do understand how the world has changed. Since last year, since the start of this pandemic. There's a lot of people who turn around and said, "Look, we've got so much time on our hands." But then the flip side of it was there was people who got even busier than they were pre-pandemic. And that is the kind of lifestyle that, I can see that you definitely lived. I certainly did too. And this is just a reflection of the type of people that we surround ourselves with, the doers. So, the fact that we haven't been able to connect, although it's a bad thing, we should be connecting more often, but there is a good side of it too. It's just showing that, we're doing our thing, we're moving forward, we're growing. So, I'm really, really pleased to see your growth, especially since the start of the pandemic. It's been very inspiring, to say the
Oh,
least.
God bless you, man. God bless you. And as you said, like, what when you are around people that give good energy, it kind of rubs off on yourself,
Absolutely.
and we've done some tours together in India, and I've just been so amazed in just watching you. Like, you really do set some great examples, and there's so much people there that respect you, and I see why. It's not just because of your level of authority, it's because of the amount of love which you give back to them as well. And I really, really respect that of you, seriously.
Thank you. Thank you
Over
so
the
much.
years, you've been such a great person. You offer so much to the world. And major congrats for your success, my brother.
Thank you
Seriously.
so much. Thank you. And, I just want to add to that, Roger. I can't do this by myself. This is a collective effort of people who have been around me, yourself included. We've not just toured India, we went to the States, we've been to Europe, we've been to multiple different countries spanning across the world. That's a big deal. Dubai. So it's not just India, but it's a collective effort. And there have been so many great people that have been part of this journey so far. This industry has given me so much positivity, and doing what I do is not just a passion, it became a business, and it also became a way of giving back. And what better to give someone than a positive vibe that might
Amen.
change their life.
Amen.
So it's
Yeah.
been an amazing journey so far.
That's fantastic. So you're you're such an amazing entrepreneur, but I think what would be interesting to know is where it all started. I mean, what we see right now is this, I don't know, this huge empire, so many things going on. You're flying here and there and there and there. And it's like, okay, this is all incredible, but what is the beginning for you? Where did it all start? This whole entrepreneurship?
It started with my parents, and all the credit for my journey where it started goes to my parents. Um, my parents uh, immigrated. They're the first generation in this country in my family. And I have grown up watching my dad work extremely hard, not just for his immediate family, me and my brother, but also for his brothers, his sisters, back in India too. And also my mum, she was a huge inspiration in my life, and I still use her teachings today, even though she's not with us anymore. And I do pray that she looks down and she smiles, and I try and do things that would make my parents proud. That's always been my number one priority, whether they're physically with me or they're watching me. That's always been the thing that's in the back of my head whenever I make a decision. That's helped me to make some good decisions. But watching how my parents started their journey helped me with a lot of inspiration and motivation. And the bottom line is, Roger, there'll be a lot of people listening to your podcast, and some of them may be people who are just about to start that entrepreneurial journey. It doesn't matter if they're young or they're a little bit more experienced in life, but when you are about to start a journey, it can be quite scary. Now, when you look back at the first generations who came to countries like the UK, they came here because they wanted to start a better life. They wanted, a better future. Those people never had an option. The reason why most people today fail is because they've got too many options. When I hear people say, the struggle is real, I look at them and say, you have no idea what struggle means. Your struggle is choosing between Nando's and, Wagamamas. Your struggle is between choosing to drive X car to work or Y car to work. Those are not struggles. The struggles are when you have to go and do hard work for very, very long hours. You have to sacrifice sleep. You have to sacrifice your social time. You have to sacrifice a lot just to earn for others around you. And then you think of yourself after that. Yeah. And that is the real struggle. So when you go on to an entrepreneurial journey today, the first thing that you need to think about is, what am I willing to sacrifice for the end result? And if you're not willing to sacrifice your sleep, you're not willing to go that extra mile, you're not willing to work those long hours and, give up on that socializing and, put that phone down, forget about what's going to be on that TV and so forth, then maybe the entrepreneurial journey isn't for you. Maybe you're better off doing a 9-to-5 job. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5 job. But entrepreneurial journeys involve a lot of sacrifice. And, when people say, oh, doing a lot of things, it's because of the sacrifices that people don't know about. Instagram, Facebook, it's great, but we only put things on there. And I'm trying to change that. We only put things on there that look good.
Of course.
No one sees. I mean, you've been on the tours with me. You've seen that sometimes there's 2 or 3 hours sleep before you have to catch a plane to the next destination. And yeah, it's great. I'm very blessed that I have the opportunity to do that. But that end result involves a lot of preparation and a lot of work behind the scenes with a lot of other people that also invest their time and efforts. And that's where, the thought of beginning this journey came from, was watching people who never had an option but to be successful.
Yeah. Wow. It is, it's so true. Like when you see people like, your parents doing some serious grafting, you realize that the things that you do right now, you probably got a lot more privileges. So that gives you a bit more backbone when things get a bit tough. Like you can look back at, okay, what did my parents go through, or my dad or whatever? And you're like, yeah, I know I got more in me, I know even myself. We were speaking just before this podcast and I was telling you about my morning protocols and like waking up super early, getting up and doing like my biohacks or my fitness rounds. It means nothing. It's so easy for me because growing up, that was standard, whilst most of my friends was going to the shop and buying vegetables, my dad asked me to help him with, not even asked me, he told me we need to grow our vegetables in the back garden. We had a chicken coop as well. And we would, we'd gather the eggs and stuff like that. So, that for me was standard. In fact, I want to do that now, but my garden's not big enough. But it's, when your parents set certain standards for you, I think that really gives a nice foundation. What I wanted to know was, what age did you start working? From what age? Was it 16, 18?
From when I was walking. My dad made me work with him. Child labor. But seriously, it wasn't, that's not a simple question to answer for me. And I'll tell you the reason why. My dad was always worried that I would mix up with the wrong company and be a bad human. So he tried to keep me as close to him as possible. And one of the things that he was fortunate enough to be able to do after I was born was set his own business up. So when I was about 6 years old, we used to live not too far from my dad's builder's merchant. So before school, I used to be there, and it used to be fun initially. We used to have a little dog there, and the builder's merchant used to be a fun place to be for me. That's how I grew up.
Of course.
Yeah, it was normal for me, probably not normal for other people. But as I grew up, as I was growing up, it became part of my life. So being at the builder's merchant, helping out, was a standard thing. It was a standard part of my life. So I don't know when that transition from actually classing it as work or actually classing it as just spending time with my dad. I don't know when that transition actually happened, but I do remember I could barely look over the counter from when I used to be there. But I started my work from there, my work experience from the builder's merchant. I set up my first business when I was 18, just at the end of almost 19. My first business was a mobile phone store, and it was an amazing journey. I sold my BMW to set up my mobile phone shop. My BMW was my most prized possession at that time. I was immature. Having a BMW at the age of 18 was like, you're doing it.
Oh, standard.
My life is complete, with all the bells and whistles. But, I could have got help from my parents, I'm not going to lie, but I wanted to do it my way, because I had to prove to myself and to my dad that, I can do this. Because for my dad, doing anything other than anything to do with construction or property was a big risk. And any parent doesn't want their children, or my parents didn't want me to take risks where I might fail.
Mm-hmm.
But I convinced my parents because I had a good relationship with my dad. My mum wanted me to study to be a lawyer or a doctor. My dad wanted me just to be successful and just be with him. And I said, no, I want to do my own thing. So the biggest problem that children have, most children who don't agree with their parents, is that they never have a good relationship. So when they want to do something which is outside of their parents' comfort zone, there's a big disagreement rather than a discussion and an agreement. So it's like, I want to do this. No, you can't. And then there's a big argument, and then they part ways and do whatever they want. But where I had a good communication path with my parents, my dad basically gave me the ultimatum that, okay, well, if your business fails, you're going to work in the builder's merchant for the rest of your life.
Okay.
It was like that.
Right,
it was like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, let's see. And in my head, it's like, I have to succeed.
Yeah.
This mobile phone shop has to succeed. It has to be the best. So started off on this mobile phone shop journey. 6 days a week, I used to be in the shop, and it became amazing. It was the best experience of my life. It was the best phone shop in the area. People used to travel from far, far away. I don't know if you remember, but it used to be called one-to-one.
Yeah.
One-to-one, Cellnet, Orange.
Orange,
yeah.
Days.
And we were involved with all those phones. Like, we used to sell the Nokia 5146 fascias that used to clip off and on. We used to have all, different styles. And then on a Sunday, I used to wake up at 4 a.m., load up the vans, and go and do Sunday markets. And we used to sell mobile phone accessories on Sunday markets, stalls. In the winter, it was freezing. You could barely feel your fingers and your toes. So that's my first business. And, I love it. The memories from those days, they give me goosebumps, amazing.
Amazing. So that's your first kind of entrepreneurial venture. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much hours would you say you was doing during that time?
You don't count hours.
It'd be interesting to know, though. I mean, because, you got some people who want to be successful, but, they're trying to cap their hours. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, if you want to be an entrepreneur, then how should you envision the amount of time which you put into your business rather than that 9 to 5 mindset. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You see, it's like this. You get back what you put in. And at that age, I had less personal commitments, so I was able to put in 24/7. And literally, I would start very early hours of the morning and go home at like 8:30, 9 o'clock sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But although my shop used to close at 6, but we used to be busy at 6, so that used to be sometimes 7:30. There was no actual hours. And I used to have to fit personal commitments around my business. So it was not like fit my business around my personal life. And
Mm-hmm.
even today, I've got 2 children. My daughter is now 17, my son is 16.
Wow.
And, I've had to fit my business and balance my business and personal life. But I've had to make a lot of sacrifices. So your business might call you at 2 a.m. in the morning. There might be a leak in your business premises at 2 a.m. in the morning. Are you going to think, no, it's okay, I'll deal with it tomorrow? No, you have to be there. You might have, a promotion that's going to go out, and the night before you have to work all night to make sure everything is perfect. That means that you might not be able to spend time with your family. You might not be able to go out with your friends or go to the movies. And that's what it's about. So if you want to be successful, you have to be willing to give up everything that gives you comfort. So you are always in a zone which is uncomfortable, but that's how you grow. But what actually happens is during that process, you learn how to optimize your skills. So
Mm.
today, creating a promotion might be real hard work, and it's taken you a week to get it right. But now that you've learned how to get it right, next time it'll only take you 3 days. But now to grow, you can do two at the same time. So you're not going to get comfortable because you're better at it. You're going to be able to do more because you're better at it.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. But, it really comes down to what is your goal? My goals are worldwide. So that means that I'm always going to be in a zone which is uncomfortable. Um, I know that by the end of each year, I have a certain number of goals that I have to reach. So I have to allocate my time in accordance to those goals, which means that, you're probably not going to be much of a sociable person. So our answer to your question is, how many hours? As many hours as it takes for you to reach those goals. It's really as simple as that.
Yeah. 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 So, for the success that you've had, would you say that education has played a big role? What sort of education do you have which has direct connection to your business, or is it mainly work experience?
That's a really good question. No one's actually asked me that question in that context before.
Okay.
Um, Probably none of my educational experiences have played a direct role in most of the successes up until now. Most of my experiences that I've had firsthand have been the most valuable. People skills, communication skills, understanding, listening. But the biggest educational experiences that have helped me is failure.
Right.
Every single failure has been the biggest lesson, biggest teacher, and most useful in becoming successful. And although you might read lots and lots of these quotes about, failure is not final and failure is the best teacher, it's true.
Mhm.
It's a fact. If you've never failed, you've never learned anything new. And the key here is to have an open mindset. If you think positively, and every time you fail, instead of thinking, damn, I failed, and this is the end, and I'm never going to be able to make it, think, okay, I failed. What did I learn from this? Because when I try again, I'm going to make sure that I do it better.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I would say has played the biggest role in the progress so far. So self-education is what I call it.
Right. Self-education. Okay. So on the subject of failure, what would you say is the biggest failure that you had, and what was the biggest learning curve you got from it, or the what is the biggest yeah, what did you learn from your biggest failure that you've got?
My biggest failure was worrying about what other people might think.
Right.
That was my biggest failure, because that used to control a lot of my decisions. And that used to hold me back from doing a lot of things that I wanted to do. In the Indian community, especially,
In the
you
what?
know, in the Indian community,
Mhm.
in my ethnic community, um, it's a culture worrying about what other people might think. Don't do that. People will think bad. It's shame on the family, or you don't want to risk failure because it's going to bring shame and all that kind of stuff. Forget what they think. That's the thing that holds you back. And, sometimes doing things where you're worried that, okay, I might not be an expert in this field. What will the experts think of me? Because these thoughts are inherited sometimes, what other people might think. So you automatically go out into the open world and you start thinking like that. Okay, you know being from the Indian culture, generally people are worried about what other people might think within the community. Now I'm in my professional field, I'm worried about what other people might think in this professional field. I'm not a personal trainer, I've never been qualified as one, but I'm a co-founder of one of the fastest growing gym chains in India and soon to be in the world. So if I was worried about what other people might think, I'd be worried about what other personal trainers might think. Well, what qualifies you to co-found a gym chain? Well, actually, my passion does, and I'm going to do it. So, we've got some of the best personal trainers in the world that work with us, some of the best educators in the world, yourself included, that have educated on these platforms. Do I worry about what other people think anymore? No, I don't. So that used to be my biggest holdback. And when I realized that it doesn't matter what other people think, that was the biggest acceleration in growth.
Yeah, yeah. Amen. I mean, I think that holds a lot of people back in so many things, to be honest with you. It doesn't even have to be business, just going out and doing something, the most basic stuff. People question what will others think. And it's crazy, even down to, I don't know, the clothes they're going to wear. And you know what's so interesting? I realized there's been a few times, even when I'm going to the shop, and I've been sitting in the house all day. I might have had exercise in the morning, but I've been sitting in the house all day in all random clothes. And then I'm like, damn, I need to go shopping. And I remember one time I took a thought to myself, wow, I'm wearing random clothes right now. And then I thought, F it, I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to go out. People are going to look at me and be like, you can't wear those odd colors. And I'll be thinking, yes, I can, you know, and
Yes,
feel
you can.
so comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Um, hmm.
I mean that you. I mean you've hit the nail on the head. It's about confidence in your thoughts and beliefs. Whether it is your personal life or whether it is your professional life. If you are comfortable with it, if you are confident with it, it's only then that other people will believe in you. If
Mm,
you walked out and you thought to myself, I don't look good, and you were conscious of it and you were very unconfident, you're giving those signals out to people. They'll read those signals and give them straight back to you. If
yeah.
you went out and say, you know what, this is the new trend, this is how I roll, people say, well, that actually doesn't look bad, I might try the same, whatever it might be. But this is a big deal. And you know one of the messages here is definitely for children. Children who are about to go to university, about to start their educational journey, about to take their education to the next level. You know, when you go out there, don't worry about what other people think. Be confident in yourself. Don't change yourself. If people can't accept you for who you are and don't believe in your thoughts, that's their limitations and their thoughts. Don't let them become yours.
Mm,
I say that because, I'm a father of a 17-year-old girl who is about to start that journey. And, I have discussions with her, and I always try and make sure that she's confident in her thoughts and beliefs, and she's not dependent on others, that gratification, so that, yeah, if others accept me, then that's okay, otherwise I have to change myself. It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, you're absolutely true. And there's a lot, I think there's a lot of conditioning during the upbringing of kids as kids get older. Even TV programs, you have to be very mindful of those things. Music that kids listen to these days, you know, like where they're singing about, oh, I can't live without you, and all that sort of stuff in those songs. I'm mindful of that. I'm like, you know what, this is going off, I'm not listening to it. So much music is quite, yeah, destructive, and TV programs, I'm aware of it all, you know. And when it comes to your children, man, sometimes it can feel a bit, I don't know whether it's overprotective, but you're mindful of it. And sometimes like, okay, let me just take my foot off the pedal a bit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's principles, of course. You know, every parent wants the best for their child, you know. And as long as, you know, there is a guidance, when children make decisions, it shouldn't be an argument. It should be a discussion if you disagree. And that's the best way to have a constructive relationship with children these days, because, you know, with the way that the world is moving, it's moving really fast. And yes, you know, music influences a lot of the youth. TV programs, what you see on the news, social media, plays a big role in how the next generation is influenced. But I suppose, you know, it depends on your approach, how you approach everything. And if you have an open mind, willing to listen, listening is always key. You know, listen, digest, think, then speak. You know, I think that methodology usually works quite well.
Yeah. Okay. How has business been during the pandemic? So I know when we had the first lockdown, lots of places shut down, and that would have included a lot of the gyms which you have in India. I don't know how things were in terms of property, but yeah, I know you was pretty busy during that time organizing stuff. So how was it for you?
So just for those who don't know what I do, I'll give you a very short, brief introduction, and then I'll tell you how it all panned out. So I'm involved with, we have a company that is involved with digital marketing. We have our gyms, the gym chain. We have a company called Physique Global, which is an umbrella for lots of different verticals within the health and wellness industry. Then we have the builder's merchant and our construction business. And then we have the real estate business, which is the estate agency, property management company. So every business was affected, some in a very positive way, and others was not so positive. But one thing that we learned very quickly is that, you know, we need to start innovating in areas which might have been a lower priority initially. So let's talk about the gyms first. The gyms were affected in a very negative way initially because they were closed. There was a national lockdown across India. All the gyms were closed. And unfortunately, a lot of the governments around the world class fitness as a low priority business, a non-essential business.
Wow. Can you
okay. It's crazy how you would think that, but, you know, if I was the prime minister, I would class gyms as a number one priority, as a essential business. I would have put, you know, made some of the rules and regulations compulsory of how these businesses should abide by hygiene protocols, so that people would feel comfortable going there. Because, you know, the amount of cases of depression that have skyrocketed since the pandemic far surpasses the number of COVID cases. That I can guarantee you. There's far more people suffering from depression than the number of people recorded as having COVID. So, you know, there's going to be repercussions, and we are already seeing those, you know, especially when you talk about even children all the way to people in old age homes. But coming back to the business, it was very hard for us. And the hardest part was a lot of people in India, everyone in India, they don't get grants from government if we're during a lockdown. So like here, you have furloughs and things like that. It's nothing like that over there. If you don't have work, you don't have money. Simple. So we had to sustain our staff, and we had put in various different schemes where we were still contributing towards salaries, sometimes in full for the first few months. And then we had a stepped a salary system where people were getting paid. And then we started to kind of educate our members through digital platforms, social media, on how they can still remain fit at home. During that period of time, our other businesses under the Physique Global banner, where we take care of a lot of educators and talent within the fitness industry, we were helping them create more content so that their online sales for, let's say, online coaching or any products and services that they would sell that helps people to have a stronger immunity, remain sane, that would operate better and more optimized. So that business went up. We were helping people to create more content. So a lot of our talent were doing more endorsement deals for brands, where there's more brands that were selling products and services online. So that was great. Construction industry didn't stop at all. It was still operating. Property management, still operating. We optimized that. New house sales went down because people wasn't comfortable. So we had to very quickly bring in virtual tools for how to sell property, showing people a property online and that type of thing. So the business was affected, but we had to innovate very quickly. We never did virtual tours on properties before. So, that was great. But the biggest plus point was our digital marketing company that, we saw a substantial growth, and we worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. Philips, there's a company called Oyo in India, which is a little bit like Airbnb, but it's more for hotels, working with skincare brands, supplement brands, and a lot of lifestyle companies, fashion. So, we've saw a substantial growth, which now meant that, we had to upgrade our offices.
Wow.
This in general has been good. We're very, very thankful for that.
That's amazing. Would you say that with what has happened during the pandemic and the new things that you've needed to implement, do you think there might be certain things you might use as as part of your service ongoing? Like, for instance, right now, a lot of people are working from home. And I think many companies understand that this can work. It's like, do you know what? You can spend most days working at home. It will save all the travel, and certain days a week, you're going to come to the office. Are there certain things which you reckon will stay in the business, which you've had to structure around because of the pandemic, which you feel would continue to work ongoing?
In the UK, yes. Like our property management business, our team works from home. And, I think that works because there is not really a requirement for them to be physically at the base to do that. So I think we will probably incorporate a 50-50 strategy moving forward with that. But I'm not a huge fan of work from home, if I'm very honest with you. And I don't think it's a good thing for people's mental health either. I think productivity, when you're in a work environment, is a lot higher. There'll be a lot of people who disagree with me that, you can create that environment at home, and you probably can. But physically having to wake up and get to a place of work, that process is something that should be part of your life. It should be part of your journey. Get to a place of work and share energy with other people. I don't think that that's something that I'm going to incorporate in our companies at all. I want to make our workplaces a happy place for people to be at, and I like face-to-face. I'm a bit old-fashioned when it comes to things like that, but definitely won't be changing that. But from this whole experience, we have created new business verticals moving forward. Physique Global, we have our digital magazine, which was an idea we had years ago, but because of the pandemic, we expedited it, and we are now, I think, on the 6th or 7th edition. And we've had, and you're next, by the way. We need you, right? It should be standard, by the way.
I know.
But we've had some amazing people contribute from around the world, and I'm so excited about this vertical because it's helped me to connect with more people and bring people together. So we've had people like Kris, Gethin, obviously you know Kris very well. We've had the Maharaja, the WWE superstar. We've had him. Chris Cavallini, we've had Bollywood superstars, we've had biohackers, we've had so many people be part of that journey so far. So that's going great. We're just about to set up health enhancement centers here in the UK, biohacking centers, as people know them as. So the first one is going to be in Upminster, Essex. Really excited. And this would not have happened if it wasn't for the pandemic. It was going to happen, but it wouldn't have happened so quickly.
Yeah.
So, definitely a few changes since the pandemic and a new way of working, but I wouldn't say that it's just, the new way of working is just working from home. A new way of working in the sense that we've got new verticals to work on.
Yeah, makes total sense. Yeah, it seems like it's all balanced out the way it's needed to be, really. And sometimes that's what we need. I've spoken to many people that had been toying with the idea of pushing their business online, but they're like, I don't really know. And now it's got to the point they're forced to, So I think we all needed a bit of that, really. Some of us, it was more easier to adapt to than others, but I think depending on your mindset, we can all definitely grow from that. So let's talk about the Kris Gethin Gyms franchise. Wow. That's all I got to say. Wow. You seem to have a new gym opening every month. So how did this start? How the whole idea of Kris Gethin Gyms, how did it start to where it has now grown into, how many gyms do you have? 10 to 10 gyms. Where did it start? What was the vision before it started, and where is it today?
Kris Gethin Gyms was supposed to start in the UK. Long story short, me and Kris became friends around 2009, 2010. I knew of Kris in 2008 because I had a motorbike crash and I needed to get out of a very bad place. And I came across Kris's book, his plan, and I used that plan to recover from this motorbike crash. And then I kind of became a fan. Well, I became a fan. And anyway, we became friends after meeting at a few expos around the world. And I took Kris over to India for educational events. And then I introduced Kris to Hrithik Roshan, who's a very well-known Bollywood actor. So Kris transformed him. During the course of that time of Kris transforming Hrithik Roshan for one of his movies, we were discussing setting up gyms here in the UK. And that news was leaked into the press in India. When that news was leaked into the press, my inbox was inundated with inquiries for Kris Gethin Gyms. And people were saying, like, we want to take a franchise of this gym and so forth. And I'm like, wow, like, this is amazing. And I'm like looking at this site. The first site was going to be at the Excel here in East London next to Canary Wharf. And I'm like, wow, we're just about to sign the lease, but like we're getting all these inquiries for the gyms in India. Like, balancing it out, I'm like, okay, well, we could possibly do a lot more in India a lot quicker because of our reach. And of course, training, the transformation that Kris done for Hrithik was phenomenal. It's probably the best transformation that any celebrity in that industry has had up until now. So we decided to pull the trigger and started in India, and the response was phenomenal. In India, there's a lot of great gyms, but their structures were very different. They didn't really have the operational procedure policies like we would want. Like, you know, as a gym goer ourselves, gym users, there's a lot of flaws that we noticed in a lot of gyms. And I respect every gym out there, by the way. I don't class any other gym as competition. I feel that every gym has their own flavor. You know, there are gyms that are 24-hour gyms, and they're smaller gyms. There are gyms that are very low budget gyms. And then there's gyms that are super luxury, very, very expensive. So it's not a competition. People will come to you because of what they see. If they like the service, they like what they see, that's your customer. It's not a case of going to another gym and they're going to go there because it's cheaper. If it's cheaper, that wasn't your customer. Yeah. So that's why they've chosen that gym. So that's how we started, and it became very well respected by the right people, by our target audience, and it's growing. And I'm very, very thankful to everyone who's been part of our journey. And you've been to several. In fact, I think you've been to almost all of our gyms now, apart from the last two, which opened recently.
Yeah, we'll make a change to that.
Yeah, we need to get you back out there. So what did you think of the gyms, more to the question?
Oh, me personally. So when I visited, you know, I had seen other gyms as well. And in comparison, I thought it was amazing. But even just as a standalone gym, without comparing, I would say Kris Gethin Gyms is of the standards of gyms in UK, you know, and probably better than many that I've been to in UK. And you'd kind of expect them to be pretty good in UK, to be fair. But yeah, the standards were great. They're very clean, you know, very clean, top-notch equipment. And what I do like as well is that you guys have the functional area outside, or it might be inside, but that's really good. You know, you got the rig, maybe some kettlebells, some power bags, battle ropes, and you've got the resistance training, all the cardio. It's got a mixed range of stuff. So I think it ticks boxes for everyone, really. Like, doesn't even matter what you're looking to train, you got it all there. I didn't see classes. I don't know if you guys had classes in the gyms, but it's not something that I care about. Yeah, beautiful gyms, man. Clean.
Thank
and
you.
I checked out the saunas, and yeah, quality, man. Quality. Very
awesome.
Clean.
Thank you.
And yeah, you've got a theme as well. Like, you go there and you've got the theme in all of the gyms. You're not going to be like, oh, what gym is this? You could go in there, like someone can blindfold you, put you in the gym, and you don't even need to see the name of the gym. You just look at the type of equipment. Yeah, I'm in Kris Gethin Gyms, aren't I? You know?
Yeah.
You guys.
And that's a very important part of the planning, actually. So we wanted to create a model which and this might be a bad actually, let me use Holland and Barrett as an example. I was going to say McDonald's, but let me use Holland and Barrett. So if you walk into a Holland and Barrett, when you're in the Holland and Barrett, you know you're in a Holland and Barrett because they have a lot of features and themes which are exactly the same as all the others. So that's what we have. But every single one of our centers, the layouts change, but everything else remains the same. The way that you're treated, the way that you're spoken to, the hygiene control, which is very, very important. You know, the attention to detail that we've given to all of these points are very significant. And that's what people appreciate. We're not the cheapest gyms in India by far, but we are definitely the best. And I say that with extreme pride because our teams out there who work tirelessly, they are the people who who maintain that standard on a daily basis. And it's not easy. You know, we spoke about social media, about putting up great things, but behind the scenes, you know, 10 gyms is 10 discussions every day. And those 10 discussions mean that there would have been 20 discussions prior with the local teams on everything that happens in each of the centers to make sure that we don't have any complaints and our members are happy with the service that they get. So, it's been a great journey so far. And hopefully this year we'll see at least another 3 gyms open. And that's considering that I always like to work on the lower numbers, but hopefully it'll be more. And then next year we plan to have another 10.
Okay, within next year.
From 2022 to 2023, 10, and another 3 this year.
Wow. Right. That's that's a big vision. So which parts of India do you reckon you'll be focusing on, or would it be in other parts of the world?
Well, we definitely are looking at other parts of the world. Canada and America are on top of our list at the moment, but we're redesigning the model since the pandemic because we realize that there's different demands and needs in different parts of the world, especially with the attitude to risk, etc. So we want to create unique experiences for those parts of the world. But in India, if you look at like the country as a whole, it's a huge country. We're not in Gujarat right now. Gujarat is on one of our top of our list. We are looking to enter into other parts of the south. But generally speaking, there's a lot of parts of India that we are not present in. Although we've got 10 gyms scattered around India, but there's still a lot of ground that we still have not covered. So we're looking to kind of continue with the current model and ensure that we start covering a lot of ground that we're not kind of currently recognized, but currently in. But the main thing is to make these gyms accessible to everybody. So we're in the metros, but we're also in tier 4 cities. So we tailor the gym services in accordance to each vicinity. The culture changes so much from the north to the south, as you've experienced yourself, and so does the gyms. Although the gyms in general are very similar, but the way that we market our gyms and how we train our staff does change so that they can still deliver the same quality that people expect.
That's cool, man. That's cool. That is great that you know exactly how to adjust it in accordance with which part of India the gym is going to be located. That's really important. And also changing the structure in accordance with the country as well. I didn't think that would be something you'd be doing. I thought that, this structure works, it'll be the same in other countries, but makes total sense, I guess.
Technology plays a big part of this because what happens is we're currently working on apps, for example, and we'll be introducing these apps for our members so they can have more technology that they can be using to keep themselves accountable. But then in the same way, when you talk about the West of the world, there are experiences where there'll be possibly VR introduced into our gyms, centers which specifically focus on virtual reality as part of a fitness program. There's companies out there that have been doing such things, working on such technologies. And it's now time where we can see that that's going to be the future. So, going to a class, for example, but not having to rely on a physical instructor, going to a class and having VR where you've got somebody accessible 24 hours a day.
Wow.
Pick the class you want and you can see that you'll have a full class around you, although you might just be in a room. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I see that now. That's insane.
Yeah.
I think the earlier stages of that was not quite virtual reality, but the bikes which people have at home, is it called
Peloton.
Peloton. You don't necessarily need to rely on a whole group of people as such. You've got it all just on the machine, on the bike. I think you have to pay a monthly membership for that, isn't it? Yeah.
And you have to pay a setup. But believe it or not, a lot of people dismissed that idea initially.
Right.
And Peloton is a fantastic example of one of the most successful companies in this space that have actually skyrocketed during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And people are getting results.
Yeah.
So it's a great example of how technology is going to be a very important part of our lives. Many people were still kind of reluctant to incorporate technology, but I mean, I know that you use a lot of technology. So do I, especially with my fitness. I use a heart rate monitor when I train. I use an Aura ring, various other technological pieces of kit, which help me to track and become accountable.
So let's talk about your personal fitness journey. So obviously you got the gym franchise, but you also have your own fitness protocols which you follow every single day. But you haven't always been on a fitness journey, have you? At one stage you was quite fat. I saw a photo. I was like, that is not Jag.
All right,
two Jags.
Yeah, or maybe three at one point. I mean, fitness has been, bodybuilding was my passion, okay? But I never was a bodybuilder, ever. At the age of around 16, that's when I went to the gym for the very first time in East London. It was a place called Wag Bennett's, Wag's Gym. And best gym, like the best experience. It's where Arnold Schwarzenegger used to train when he used to come to England. He used to train at Wag's Gym.
Right.
This was one of them old gyms where you never knew what weight you were lifting because it was all worn out. There was all like electrical tape around the dumbbells, and you have to just lift and think, oh, they feel the same. That will do, that type of gym. So I've always been involved with a fitness journey, but it was never structured. I didn't know what I was doing at all. I would go in the gym and just do what we thought was right. And that's the bottom line. But, and it used to start and stop and start and stop. And there was no structure to it. But then in 2008, I had a very serious motorbike crash and the lights almost went out for me. And then I kind of went through a very dark phase of my life, where I was, abusing alcohol and I was very depressed and everything went downhill. The recession started at that time. The credit crunch and all of that. I never even knew what a credit crunch meant until 2008. That's when all of this started. So it was a very bad phase of my life. And then fitness is what got me out of it. And it optimized every aspect of my life, including my business, including the way I think and my circle of people. So that's when I started to get some sort of a structure. And it's like everything else, Roger. When you start seeing results, it becomes an addiction. And I have an addictive personality. So if I do something that I enjoy and it gives me a good result, I get addicted to it and I really just go for it. So that's when I started to gain structure. And since then, 2008 up until 2021, I have been on a fitness journey and I have started to use different platforms to learn more and more about how I can better myself and become a better human. So I've never been in a better place than I am now, especially, having people like you in my circle, learning from the things that you guys put out on your social media, and Chris Gethin and, so many other people. I was fortunate enough, we had Ben Greenfield on one of our tours. So there's been so many amazing people that I've been kind of touring with and, in my circle where I'm still learning more about this journey. So currently, I'm training for a marathon. So my training style has completely changed. Previous to this, the biggest challenge that I done was a cycle ride from Delhi to Mumbai, which was 1,450 kilometers. So the training for that was pretty insane. So the journey is ongoing and it's very exciting because you learn how to smash those limitations and barriers.
Yeah. Love it,
Make
man.
sense?
Yeah. It makes total sense, man. Love it. Yeah, that's superb. So it's like you've got it all covered, man. You got like your business on lock, you got all your fitness on lock, you got the right people around you. That's great, man. That's great. Top-notch dad
Still
as well.
learning, still learning. Do you know what it is, Roger? It's like the minute you think that it's all sorted, is the minute that you take your first step towards failure.
Right.
Right? It's all, and there's a balance. Okay, it's not about greed, but you shouldn't stop that desire to keep progressing. That desire shouldn't go. That desire is what's going to help you to live longer.
Mhm.
Have you ever noticed or ever come across anyone who's retired and then once they got nothing to do, their health starts to deteriorate?
It makes sense. I don't know anyone who's been in that position. I guess most of my friends are not really of that age. But yeah, I guess it does make
By
sense.
the way, I'm not that much older than you, by the way, just for the record. I just have come across a lot of people. But let me give you an example. I know a lot of people who all they knew was how to work hard.
Mhm.
And when they retired, they didn't really know much. They didn't really know much what to do with themselves. And a lot of people started to pick up bad habits, move less, and almost be in God's waiting room.
Mm.
And that happens. I've seen it happen a lot. And I know a lot of people who are going through it right now. So that desire to keep optimizing should always be there, whether it be your business. Okay, my business is doing great. How can I do better? My health is on track. How can I make it better? How can I get more people involved with it? It doesn't always have to be about you. I have no intention to retire ever.
Yeah,
I don't want to retire. I want to work until I can't.
I
You
get
know,
that.
that
I don't
yeah.
understand people who retire and do nothing. I mean, if I was to decide to retire, then I'll be traveling the world. I'll be doing stuff. Fitness will definitely be a part of that. But I can't imagine ever retiring. I think if you don't like what you do, then I guess you're like, I've had enough of this. I need out. You're waving the white flag. But if you love what you do, then I don't think that day will come. You'll continue going, really.
Yeah, and this is the thing, Roger. Like one of the things that I've learned in the latter part of my journey is mindset. My goals are very different to when they were when I started my entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
When I sold that BMW, my goal then was, now that I've sold it, I want to buy two BMWs. And I worked really hard until I made that happen. And I made it happen fairly quickly.
Mm.
And then it was like, okay, great, I'm complete. But then now what? And then, okay, the next goal is I'm going to buy a house. And then, okay, then what? And then I'm going to do X. And then what is the end goal? So it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So if that journey becomes a holiday every day, you love it, you jump out of bed, you spring out of bed, and it's your purpose, then I think that longevity is always going to be there. And that desire to keep bettering yourself will always be there. But I know there's a lot of people who are stuck in jobs that they don't like. And there's people who complain about it, and it's justified. There's a lot of people who, unless they work, they're not going to be able to pay their bills. So I respect that. And they have to do the jobs that they don't like doing. But simultaneously, what are they planning and how are they planning to change that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Also, gratitude plays a big role in longevity and mindset. Sometimes when you pursue more, you forget about what you already have and you get stressed about something that hasn't even happened. You think, gosh, I want to own 10 houses. Damn, I've only got one, but what if you didn't even have that? There's people who stress about, they don't like the job that they've got. But did you know there's a lot of people out there at the moment who don't even have a job? you know
Absolutely. Yeah.
so there's got to be a balance. But yeah, back to the original point that you made, I think I've gone on a bit. Yeah, things are in a good place at the moment. But they could be worse for sure, but I'm definitely working hard to optimize them and make them even better. So that's the goal.
Yeah, that is the goal. That's awesome. Look, Jag, it's been absolutely incredible, my friend. Seriously,
Thank
it's
you.
been amazing. Learned a lot. Always learning a lot from you. Even like when we're
Thank you.
going along those long journeys from city to city, and we sit in the back and we have a long talk.
Yeah.
It's always brilliant, man.
Yeah.
Always.
It's the perks of what we do, and those are the benefits, you know, the byproducts of the work. So it doesn't feel like work, does it?
No, never. Absolutely. And it's always a blessing knowing that you can help other people as well, sharing your
Absolutely.
wisdom, sharing your knowledge. It's such a beautiful thing. It's like it's one of the key reasons why we're alive, really, so that we can offer value to the world, to other people. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Totally agree.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
everything that you do. So you're on Instagram. What is your Instagram handle?
My Instagram handle is at Jag Chima.
All
That's with
right.
a I. So it's Chima.
Okay, nice. And you're also on Twitter as well, right?
Yep, it's Jag Chima 1.
One. Oh, did someone take the original without the one?
Yeah, they
Did you try and
did.
buy it off them?
Yeah, I did. And I'm not paying £10,000 for it.
Are you also on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook at Jag Chima.
Awesome.
I'm also on LinkedIn. Just started a YouTube channel.
All right.
It's got some of my journey when I'm in India. So I'm not as great as like what you guys put out, but I'm trying my best to do my own flavor on YouTube. So I'd really appreciate any feedback if anyone has any once they've seen that.
I'm sure you got some great stuff on there. I know you've got your own podcast as well, isn't it? Inspired podcast or something?
Yeah, it's called the Inspired Lifestyle Podcast. And very soon, Roger, I'm looking forward to having you on there because the purpose of the Inspired Lifestyle Podcast is to talk about important topics about life that goes on. And that is sometimes about your well-being, about how you can improve your health. Sometimes it's about general topic, mindset, depression, fashion, and so forth. So it's something that I'm extremely passionate about. And really looking forward to having you on there and trying to help inspire more people.
Oh man, can't wait. Can't wait. I've got a lot to share. So let's make
Awesome.
it happen.
Excellent.
Again,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much, Jag. It's always
My
amazing
pleasure.
to talk to you, my friend.
Thank
You
you.
have a blessed day. Take care.